Today is the 15th of April, 2010. We are in Coxsackie, New York to do a home interview. My name is Wayne Clark. I'm with the New York State Military Museum and Veterans Research Center in Saratoga Springs, New York. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and date and place of birth, please?
Leonard William Jump, February 6, 1922, in Coxsackie.
You were born in Coxsackie.
Yeah.
Did you attend school in Coxsackie?
Coxsackie High School, yeah.
Did you graduate from high school?
Graduated in 1940, high school.
1940. All right. Did you go on to college at that point, or did you go to work, or what did you do?
I went to work. I worked for the village,
Mm-hmm.
building a reservoir out in Climax.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother-in-law come down from Hudson Falls. He needed a assistant on his paper machine, so I went up there and worked for him. And then that's when I heard about I was up there when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and then I went into service.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
And any particular reason why you chose the Navy?
No, not really. You know, being on the river all my life here.
Mm-hmm. Did you, you say you lived here on the river, did you have a boat growing up?
Yes, I did, yes.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a carpenter, and he built me 4 or 5 rowboats.
Mm-hmm. And where did they send you for basic training?
Newport, Rhode Island.
And what was that experience like?
It was quick, because they wanted to get us through the service, or out of the training fast.
Mm-hmm.
So then they sent me to Richmond, Virginia for motor vehicle, or for diesel training. I was in there for 13 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went on to USS Alabama.
All right. Did you have any sort of a mechanical background before that?
No.
Mm-hmm. And after you completed the training, did they send you home on leave at all?
No.
You went right to the
right
ship.
To the ship.
And what was your daily life like aboard ship?
Well, just routine.
Mm-hmm. Was there a lot of maintenance involved with the engines?
No, not really, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. I was in the auxiliary division, A division,
Mm-hmm.
which entitled us to steering engine, machine shop, evaporators,
And they put you on the USS Alabama.
uh-huh.
And how big a ship was that? How big a crew?
2,500.
2,500 men.
Yeah.
What were your living quarters like?
Well, just in a compartment, you know, with spring beds, and when you got out in the morning, you had to fold them up.
Mm-hmm. How was the food aboard ship?
It was okay. It was okay.
And how long were you aboard ship before you were sent to the Pacific at that point, or?
At first, we went to the North Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
We was operating with the British Home Fleet. We went to Iceland and the Scapa Flow, and then we was operating for the British Home Fleet for 6 months. And then we was looking for the German battleship,
Mm-hmm.
operating along the Norwegian coast. And then we come back to the United States after 6 months over there.
Did you have any encounters at all with the enemy?
Not over there, no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Any personal contact with the British at all?
Yeah, we was in Scapa Flow. We was up there in. They had a big naval base up there,
Mm-hmm.
Scapa Flow.
How did you guys get along with the British?
Not bad. No, with no problem.
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay. And after you came back to the States, were you here for very long?
Just to replenish the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I did get a leave, then I come home
Uh-huh.
for 2 or 3 days. Then we had to go back, and then we went to the South Pacific.
And what route did you take to the South Pacific?
Through the canal, Panama Canal,
Uh-huh.
then right to Anahuac in the Pacific.
Okay. At that point, were you ever under attack or by kamikazes or
Yes, we were, yes.
naval bombardment? Do you want to tell us about those experiences?
Well, I was mostly down in the engine rooms. Of course,
Mhm.
I didn't see much of the excitement. We could hear a lot of the 16-inch guns going off, and
Mm-hmm.
then I got pictures there in that magazine or my diary.
Now, was your battle station down in the engine room?
Yeah,
And you were the first place you went to was the Gilbert Islands.
right.
And what was that experience like?
Well, it was just we anchored there. We stayed there for quite a few weeks until they sent us out on the, for helping to bombard some of the islands.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to go ashore at any time?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
And whereabouts?
I think it was Anahuac,
Anahuac?
and then the Gilbert Islands.
Mm-hmm. You were all over according to your paperwork. The Gilberts, the Marshalls, Hollandia, the Marianas, the West Caroline Islands, Leyte,
Yeah.
Okinawa, Japan. Do you want to talk about the incident between the Washington and Indiana during?
Well, I was an engineer at a captain's gig,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what port we were in, but the Indiana was in the same fleet with us, so they were anchored too. And the captain wanted to go over and see the damage that the Washington had done to the Indiana, because the Indiana was the same type of battleship as ours,
Uh-huh.
same class. So we went over there, and sure enough, I think the Indiana, instead of zigzagging, it went straight, and of course the Washington was zigzagging, and they hit and put a big hole in the side of the Indiana. Killed I don't know how many people or soldiers, or the Marines was sleeping on top side, and then it drowned some on the second deck.
Were you there after it happened? Did you actually witness?
No, we was there after.
Okay.
We was in the same fleet with them out there. We were zigzagging too, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. While you were in the Pacific, what did you do for entertainment? I mean, did you have movies, or did you get to see any USO shows, or?
No, because it was during the war, and the night the ship was we was underway, the ship would be in total darkness, so
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't have movies. But then when we got into port, then they'd have movies on topside.
Uh-huh.
And then we get over on some of the islands, and I was the engineer of one of the bigger yachts too, or boats, and take the kids, sailors over to play baseball. Bob Feller was on the ship with us.
Oh.
Yeah. Of course, when he was pitching, nobody got any hits.
Uh-huh. Now, were you in Japan or Okinawa when the war had ended?
We was in Japan. We was right off the coast of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we was right off the coast of Japan when they dropped them atom bombs.
Uh-huh.
And then we had to patrol 2 weeks after the end of the war, because they figured some of these Japs out there in the submarines didn't know the war was over, so we had to protect our fleet that was in Tokyo Bay.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you actually get to go off the ship and go into Japan?
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the men that did, their billet number was higher or lower than mine. I didn't get a chance because I was on the ship longer than some of them that did get off. But they said if it was ever invasion, it would have been the biggest slaughter of American soldiers you've ever seen, because
Mm-hmm.
that whole mountain was right full of caves in Tokyo Bay there.
Mm-hmm. How did they get along with the Japanese civilians, did they say?
No, they didn't, no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Now, when you heard about the dropping of the atomic bomb, were there any rumors about the destruction or
No.
anything?
No, we never heard what I did.
Mm-hmm. When the let me go back a little bit. Do you recall the death of President Roosevelt and what your feelings were at the time?
Yeah, we heard about it, but being out there, we didn't pay much attention to it.
Mm-hmm. Once the war with Japan ended, was there any kind of celebration at all?
Not on our ship, no.
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 Okay. Did you suffer from any kind of tropical illnesses, malaria, or
No.
nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. And once the war had ended, when were you sent back to the States?
Well, let's see. We left Philippines the 29th of June, and I never got off that ship until it was in Long Beach, or San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
after the war. I can't remember how many days it was, but it's quite a few.
Were you discharged in 46 or still 45?
45.
45. You also mentioned one of the funniest experiences during your time in the service, and that was your initiation when you crossed the equator.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, one of the big chiefs that was engineering chief was he more or less was King Neptune.
Uh-huh.
So you'd have to get up there and tell them what you did, and then they'd push you in this big tank. It was a big canvas tank full of water,
Uh-huh.
and then they duck you all the way across that, and then when you got out on the other side, they had these pieces of hose, fire hose, and they hit you on the back end all the way through a line. So that was our initiation.
Uh-huh. Did they give you a certificate for that?
Yeah,
Do you still have it?
yeah.
Okay. So if you ever go back in the Navy, you just show them the certificate and you won't have to go through the initiation.
Right.
All right. When you were discharged, did you make use of the GI Bill at all?
Not really, no. No. I come home and I got a job driving working for Mountain View Coach Line.
Mm-hmm. You were a bus driver?
Yeah.
And you did bus tours?
Yeah, I took Washington trips with the Coxsackie school here, the kids.
Uh-huh. And did you join any veterans organizations?
I belong to the American Legion.
Mm-hmm.
I got about 58 or 59 years with them. 166 is a number.
Uh-huh. Have you ever attended any reunions at all?
Yes, I have. They have one every April. In fact, there's one right now in Mobile, Alabama. The state of Alabama bought the ship. It was going to scrap it up in Mobile or up in Bremerton, Washington.
Uh-huh.
And they had it towed through the canal up into Mobile Bay, and there's a museum there now.
Have you been aboard the ship since?
Yeah, I took my whole family down, my wife and 2 children down in '67, and then my wife and I have been going down about every year since then. It used to be in August, it was so hot down there,
Mm-hmm.
that now they finally it's moved up to April. And And right now, there's a reunion going on down there, but the last time I was down, it was in 72, or 92.
92. Okay. And was this ship pretty much the same as it was when you were on board? Or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And have you remained in contact with any of the fellows you were in the service with?
Yes, I have. I just lost a good friend of mine from Missouri. I called him Frank Bashum was his name. And I just talked to him all last summer. I would call him once a month. And then I think it was in June, his daughter called me and told me he had passed away.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. How do you think your time in the service changed or affected your life?
I think it was, I've been to places I would never have been, you know, as far as if I was a civilian, I would have never been to England or
Mm-hmm.
Philippines or any of the Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. When you were away during World War II, how did you keep in contact with the folks back home?
Mail,
Mhm.
letters.
Were there many from Coxsackie that entered World War II?
Yeah, quite a few of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, up there across the bonfire, we got a plaque up there with all the names on it.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever run across anyone from Coxsackie when you were in the service?
Yeah, I met my neighbor when I was it was in Norfolk, Virginia, before I got on to Alabama.
All right. Are there any more stories that we perhaps haven't covered at all that you want to talk about?
I know when we first got into Hawaii, Pearl Harbor, and the oil in there was from the ships was terrible. All over it was covered with the diesel oil from the ships that got sunk.
Mm-hmm. And what about those ships? Was there still evidence of them?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever get to see the Arizona?
No, I didn't know.
Okay. You do have this one photograph that you sent us. It looks like it's was taken from a newspaper. Do you want to hold that up and I can zoom in on it with the camera and just tell us about that if you would?
I don't know what to tell you.
Was that taken during basic training?
I haven't the slightest idea when it was taken.
Okay.
Whether my mother had it in the paper or what, I don't know.
All right. Do you have any other photographs to show us?
Well, is that camera still running?
Yeah, I can stop it. Okay. Now, what is that you're holding up?
This one here is when I got fireman second class.
Oh, okay.
Fireman first and second.
All right. Well, I can zoom right in on that. Okay, got it.
And this one here is when I made machinist second, from fireman first to machinist second.
Okay. Did your job and responsibilities change at all?
Not really, no, because
Okay. All right, now I'm going to ask you a personal question. What kind of money did you make back then?
I think it was $30 a month.
Wow.
$30 a month, yeah.
And you were discharged at what rank were you? Were you
Machinist second.
machinist second? Okay. All right, and you've got a couple more photos there.
This is when the ship was in the North Atlantic with our camouflage paint on it.
Okay. Both of those photos were in the North Atlantic?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. And you've got some photos of how the ship looks today?
That's where, yeah, that's what it looks like today, the one on the bottom. Can you just get that one, or?
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, it's a good thing they preserved it, because I've talked to a lot of Navy guys, and so many of the ships were just sold as scrap and, you know, just cut up.
Yeah, that's what this was going to do, but.
Okay. All right.
Well, these are just different views of it, if you want to.
Sure, if you want to hold them up and get some close-up shots.
Now, the one on the top is when they found out there was leaking oil.
Yeah.
Sitting in the mud, so they built this coffer dam around it,
Uh-huh.
and then pumped all the water out of that coffer dam to patch the hole in the bottom.
Huh.
Then they filled it back up again.
Wow. Okay. Got it. And it's a museum today, huh?
Yeah, it's a museum. Rest these here just. I wish I could find them ones of all of the.
Now, do you know, did they use that ship at all during the Korean War?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think they just used. When was the Korean War?
Well, it started in 1950 to 53.
It could have, but I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your interview.
You're welcome.
Okay. I see that you have your ship's yearbook, and the photograph in the upper corner, that's down in the engine room?
That's in the steering engines.
Steering engines,
They
okay.
ain't part of the ship.
Okay. And that was one of your responsibilities.
Yeah, that was my general quarters. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and you want to show me some of the officers? Let me ask you, how did you guys get along with the officers?
Well, I got along with one of them pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I was on the captain's gig.
Now, what exactly is the captain's gig?
It's a yacht, or a little, well, like a small boat that run him around the different ships.
Okay.
And his son was on the North or South Dakota. So every night, I'd have to go in with the captain's gig, go to the South Dakota and pick up the captain's son, bring him back to the Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would sit up there and watch movies till 4 or 5 or 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Then I'd have to take him back, and I was the only engineer on the captain's gig. But the deck crew, they would change every so often.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so darn sleepy. I fell asleep in my bunk one day, and when I got up, one of the sailors said to me, "Hey, Jumpy, they've been calling you away for the last hour." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I went down on the ladder, got in the captain gig, went up to the forecastle, and he said, the captain up there says, 'Where was you?' I said, 'I fell asleep.' 'You report here when you get back.' So I went up there, and he said, 'You know what the duties are for anybody that falls asleep on duty?' I said, 'Yeah, I guess I'm going to go to brig.' 'Well, you're on report.' I said, 'Okay.' So later on, I met one of my captor, my officers in my division.
Uh-huh.
I said, Captain, I said, you heard that I was on report, don't you? He said, no, you're not. I said, what do you mean I'm not? I said, I fell asleep. No. He said, Captain, or the officer so-and-so up there needed me a favor. He said, he sent one of the launches over to the island to pick up fuel, and he didn't send the engineer with them, and he said they put gasoline into the diesel.
Oh, no.
So he said, so that's how I got off that. I was scared because I was just a kid, you know.
Sure.
Now there's one of our planes that was launching.
What? Whereabouts?
This one here.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
They fire this. You got all right?
Yep, I got it.
They fire the 16-inch guns, and then they send these planes off to see how we hit her.
Mm-hmm. Let me just zoom in on the cover of that book you got there. Your yearbook. That's a nice book. Okay, got it. Did you have any African Americans aboard ship?
You mean
Black sailors?
yeah? They were all they took care of the officers. They was the officers' best cook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to find.
Did you get to spend any time ashore in Hawaii?
Yes, I did. Not too many hours, but we did get ashore.
Uh-huh. Where'd you go, Honolulu?
Yeah.
Have you been back to Hawaii at all?
No.
No.
My son, when he was in the Navy, he was on a submarine. Of course, they spent 6 months out in the ocean and then 6 months back in Hawaii.
Uh-huh. Now, when did you get married? After the war?
Yeah, back in 1947, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you know your wife before you went in the service?
No.
Okay. Was she from Coxsackie too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you for your interview.
You're welcome.
Oh, do you want to tell us how many children and grandchildren you have, and great-grandchildren?
We had 2 children, Carl, my son, and Sheila, my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has got 3 children and 4 great-grandchildren, or 4 grandchildren. Of course, there would be my great-grandchildren.
Uh-huh.
My son had 3 boys, and of course, they're my grandchildren. And one of them has 1 child, that's maybe a great-grandchildren. So that's total I got.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.